Okay, it's a new weekend, new order of battle. So I was thinking about what to do next, and I have a few brackets that I need to make back here for the 4-link, painted bar, sway bar, all of that. I want to do that first so I can get all this mess cleaned up, because that will be the majority of the cutting and grinding that I have left. So I'd like to get that done, and I can do I did a cleanup in here, just picked up tools and stuff, but I've really got to, before I start putting the front end together, I'd really like to get the floor all cleaned up and everything put away and give myself some room to work here. This is just getting ridiculous. So that's my plan. I'm going to work out these brackets for the 4-link. I'll show you how I do that. And then locate them on the frame. That's kind of an interesting endeavor too. So we'll take you through that. Then once I get the brackets tacked on, again, I'm only going to tack them, probably substantial tack, but not completely welded up until after I get the rear end fit. I did find out the other day the rear end has shipped. It's supposed to be here middle of next week. So that's why I really want to get these brackets and everything in the frame ready for the rear end when it gets here. So that's the plan for right now. I see no reason why that won't work. So yeah, I'm going to concentrate on working out some bracketry, get that all finished up. Hopefully I can knock that out today, this afternoon, and then clean up this hovel. It is a mess outside. We got about an inch of hail, freezing rain, pellets on the ground right now, so I will have to plow that up before it turns cold and thaws and sets right up to a concrete status. So I'm gonna get started on this and knock out as much as I can. Kind of messy out here this morning. Just ice on ice. Okay, so this is what we're into. So this bracket starts out with just a U-shaped piece. It's kind of square on one end and bull-nosed on the other. Oops, let me get you on the thing. So it's a U-shaped piece, square on one side, bull-nosed on the other. It's got to be bent up. So I am going to take this piece of plate steel in my template. I'm just going to use the plasma to cut the bull nose, get it somewhat near right. Do that on both sides, then cut it off at the proper length and do that again because I need 4 of them. So that's where I'm going to get started with. So I'd like to break out for a second. I bought a set of these, or a couple sets actually, and these are, hole cutters. When you need a really nice, precise hole and you don't want the drill bit walking all over the place and whatnot, these work so nice. You just drive a really good heavy prick into it and just use this spring-loaded tip, lines it right up. I mean, it works beautifully and it cuts super slick. They have a little cutting lube for it. Seems to work really good. I don't know, man. I really am impressed with these. I haven't tried them in a hand drill yet, but in the drill press, they cut super easy and very, very nice and square. And good product. Just happened to catch these on another YouTube channel and decided to give them a go. And yeah, I like it. Very well worth the money. Okay, so I got them laid out. Holes are cut. Everything looks good. The marks in place. I'm going to put them on this vice brake. This is 3/16 material, so it it doesn't bend super easy. So to get nice crisp bends, this thing works great. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I bent them up, then added a weld-on square nut. Got it lined up good, spaced it out properly with a spacer, which I can't seem to locate. Here it is. So I spaced them out properly, cinched it up, welded up the nut. Now I got to add the way this is going to get still a little hot. The way this is going to get mounted is it's going to get mounted up against two surfaces, here against the side rail and this against the header rail. So I'll trim this off flat on both sides, and then that gives me room for the nut, gives me a little bit of space away from the side, and it's plenty rugged. So it'll be welded all the way around and the back and side. So this won't go anywhere. This will be fine. So I've got to go ahead now. I've chamfered these. I'm going to add these to each one of the brackets, and then the two brackets that go up on these for the upper 4-link bars get a gusset that goes back as well. So I'll work on that next. Okay, so the brackets are ready. This is the upper 4-link bracket. I'll go up here somewhere. And the lower one, which will just sit right in this corner. Got to take the corner off a little bit so there's room for the bead. I've been getting some questions on how I intend to run the fuel line. So what I've done is my intention was just drill a hole. I did one on the other side for the brake line too. And then I'm just going to cut this tube, weld it up, and basically, provide a solid channel that's watertight, and then I can just scoot the fuel line through this side and the brake line through that side. I've also taken the time to locate and drill some back holes for the actual for the 4-link brackets, so that the bolt has a place to go, and it doesn't have to be the exact right length. And it also helps me locate them when I go to mount them up. So that's the plan. I'm gonna channel this plate off the tube on both sides, get that worked out, welded up. Got to get that all done and ground flat so that I can put the 4-link brackets in. So that's the next step. All right, there we go. Those are tacked in. I just put some substantial tacks, but I put them where I could reach them with a grinder easily. I don't believe the lower points are going to have to be moved at all. I mean, that's kind of where they have to be. Upper ones might take advantage, but I think they're pretty close. I had it laid out in CAD and it all looked really good. I just took and threaded a long 5/8-13 bolt in through the housing and into the guide hole that I had here. Centered it up on that guide hole, clamped it down with the bolt, which pushed directly against the thread, not the ear, and just tacked her on. So I am ready to throw the rear end in here now once it turns up. So I've got to do the shock mounts and the rear sway bar mounts and the rear pandered bar clip to go over that. So that's what I'll do next. I'll fabricate those, get that all done so I can hopefully by the end of the day just get the shop cleaned up so that tomorrow I can start assembling the front end. But yeah, these look good. I'm pretty happy with these. My holes for the brake lines and the fuel lines are in good shape. I actually went down through that pipe, just to take the seam off the inside of it, made sure it was super smooth so there's nothing that can chafe it. I'll probably end up lining it with some sheet rubber anyway, or a piece of hose or something, and just epoxy it in there. But for right now, that's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Yeah, so that's the next step, I guess, is just knock out those other. I think I got to build 2 more brackets, modify the shock mount a little bit and the bumper stop, and I should be good shape. So we'll go. I'll bring you back when I got some more to show you. All right, so the rear end bracketry is pretty much done. I've got the 4-link brackets tacked in. Again, I tacked them where I could grind them if I had to take them off. The shock and stop bumper bracket. I've just got it clamped on right now. I'm not real comfortable tacking that until I can get a rear end in here and jack it up and see where it's going to go. These brackets here are the sway bar, the rear sway bar brackets, and the panner bar bracket is there. That one. And so everything looks pretty good back here. I had the arms that I'm making for the rear sway bar. I'm still working on those a little bit. But I had to stop and do a little tidy up in here. My wife came up and helped me. Just move stuff around, move some steel, swept everything up. Whole lot nicer to work in here now. So I think what I'm going to do tomorrow, I've got like one more hole to drill in that sway bar arms, and those are ready to bend up and weld. I might do those first, or I might just go right into the front end. Been kind of gagging to put that together, see what I got there. But anyway, the rear end bracketry is pretty much done, cleaned up, ready to go, and I've left these pieces here on like a plate so it will act as like a fish plate, just to reinforce that arch a little bit. Not that it really needs it, not a lot going on there, but with the spring coming up and coilover taking all the weight, that it could be a thing. So I did, like I said, I finished these pass-throughs here. Actually ran the little drum sander in there to take the edge off the seam so that there's no way it could chafe anything. But I will probably line those with rubber or hose or something anyway, as I said before. So yeah, that's basically it. Once I get the rear end in here, which it should turn up here midweek, I can start putting the brackets on that and start to get it hung in here and see how it likes to ride. So yeah, that's about it for this video. I think I'll do a separate video for the front end assembly, and we'll come back to this one after. Got a little more grinding and cleanup and sanding to do back here, but figured this is a good breaking point right now. So anyway, that's about it for today.